On this week's episode of This Racing Life, we are in the northeast.
I think there was nearly 30 horses that we decided weren't showing the yard to its best, really, and it was a business decision, but it hurt the books.
The secret we've got is to improve them. They've got to have ability, just need a change. If they're in big yards somewhere, they just gallop every day, they're seen out, they come here, their eyes pop with the heat.
You know, they're all there. Willie Mullins, Nicky Henderson, Skeletons, the whole lot of them from the Southern Islands. We'll beat a lot of them.
Our first stop is at the yard of a young trainer who has made an impact in both the flat and national hunt spheres.
How I got into training was accidental, and it was circumstances that had just allowed me to step into an opportunity that I probably wouldn't have had. With Ferdy moving abroad to France, there was a small group of horses that wanted to stay in England, and there was the opportunity to train them. Obviously I was very young, and we signed a lease on a yard well before I got granted the licence. That was sort of all happened between the May and the October, and had my first run at the end of October, but it was a little bit accidental, but obviously an opportunity that I just couldn't let pass by, and it's all gone from there, really.
And clearly Ferdy quite liked your enthusiasm, which I imagine you had quite a lot of.
Yeah, very keen. I've always been a grafter. Like from a young age, I'd do every job: paper round, pot washing, waitressing. I liked money, and I liked having my own money. My parents are both very driven. They've both worked extremely hard all their lives, and I suppose they've instilled that in me. And then working for Ferdy, it was tricky. You know, myself and Nathan Mosscrop were there at the same time, and Dougie that works in the yard with us now. Like, it was very regimented in Ferdy's, you know, like you were not late. That just didn't even come into it. Lateness never came into it. No one was late. No one was really ever ill off. If you were really ill, he'd send you home, but you still would come into work first and you'd try. He was, you know, a guy that set very, very strict boundaries, and I suppose that regimental regime has been instilled into, you know, us, and we've probably got quite like old-fashioned ways of doing things in our minds, and it's just graft and buckle down, and, you know, if you lack for anything in ability, you make up for it in hard work, which is sort of what I've tried to do, really.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you started out pretty young as a trainer. When Ferdy said to you, you got these horses, you know, you can go out and be a trainer yourself, that must have been quite a daunting experience for you.
It was a little bit, and I can still remember after I had my first winner, my best friend said, "Oh, at least that'll shut everyone up now." And I said, "Well, why? What are they saying? They said, you'd never train a winner." You know, so there was, you know, a few people that were knocking me before I'd started. And whether that was because I was young or inexperienced, or I'm not sure. People said it was the girl thing. I don't think that's the case at all, really. I think it was just because I was so young. But I suppose like those years that I'd spent working there, you know, I wasn't one for going off on holidays. You know, I was there all the time. Like, he let me have a bit of free rein with a couple of horses. I trained away myself sort of on my lunch times. You know, with that time that I spent there, I was 110% committed every day. You know, I worked hard, kept my eyes open, ears, you know, I took every opportunity.
And of course it all comes from John Wade, why you're here in the first place.
Yeah, that's it. We sort of outgrew our yard at Peter Beaumont's. We didn't really have enough boxes, and I was itching to expand. And Brian Hughes had a word with John Wade, who at the time had retired from training, and this facility was empty. John had obviously a lot of horses in training elsewhere, and it made a lot of sense to sort of join forces. So we maybe came here with 18 horses, and overnight we got 40. John Wade bulked up the numbers, so it made us quite busy, and obviously it's just grown quietly away. We've been here now for 8-9 years, and it's just grown away quietly. Last year I made a bit of a conscious decision, got to about April time, and had a good look through the horses that we had, and I'd almost become a little bit complacent. You know, there was a few horses there that were staying in training, and, you know, they might have only won one race and were struggling to win sort of at a lower grade level, and we made the decision to move those horses on, and I put a big hole in the numbers in April. I think there was nearly 30 horses that we decided we weren't showing the yard to its best, really. It was a business decision, but it hurt the books. Accountants didn't like it, but it also almost made me a little bit more proactive to get those boxes filled again. And we do have a high turnover of horses because, as you've seen this morning, we get sent quite a few horses that are on their last chance saloons. It's, if they're not running very well elsewhere, they might have been in every stable bar Bethlehem, they seem to end up to me, and some of them have done really, really well, which sort of spurs other people to send horses that are in the same boat. So we got into a bit of a situation where, horses were really lowly rated horses were getting sent, and we're expected to work sort of miracles with them. And sometimes it did work and it paid off and we won a few races, but a lot of the times they were too far gone, and you sort of judged by what you're running, and if you're running poor horses, you get branded a poor trainer. And I could see sort of how it was going towards the end of last season, and we needed to move those horses on and get in some better stock. And although I didn't buy as many as I wanted to, we tried. We couldn't afford them. I'd still probably rather have a few empty boxes and not have those horses that were bringing down the stats.
You're predominantly at the moment more in the jumps game, but I get the feeling that you'd like to go towards the flat eventually. Yeah.
At one point, I thought it was going to swing the other way when we were third in the Sandringham and we were training these big fancy 2-year-olds. I thought, brilliant, we're in here. We're going to springboard our way to some nice flat horses. But obviously we got them sold and they weren't replaced. So that hit me hard. And I could have seen it going that way, but it's all well and good going around the north over jumps, but getting an experience of going to York and having runners that can go and compete at Ascot, Newbury, listed level, like this place is great for fillies. We have a lot of turnout here, and the fillies that have done well, like Stormy Girl, Balalaika, Firebird, fillies like that, we were able to turn them out every day, get the sun on their backs, keep them fresh and keep them happy. And, jumps trainer in the north were breaking the track record over 6 furlongs, and it was in sort of amongst COVID as well, and I just think that all got a bit lost. So certainly if we can buy them, because we did try and go and buy a good few yearlings this year and we were short on cash to do it, but we've got a bit more of a buying strategy now, and hopefully we'll get some breezers in. And this summer is going to be important, really, because we want to put a stamp on the fact that, I'd love to be. I love my jumps horses, but from a business point of view, the flat makes a lot of sense, and where we're positioned in amongst all of these flat tracks up here, and the prize money, I think it just be a little bit of a shift, and I do sort of hope that it shifts in that direction, and that's certainly the way that I'm going to try and push it. I was spoiled when we worked for Ferdy because I saw those top quality jumps horses, and I think we took those for granted. We were riding work on those type of horses, and the likes of Divers, Poker to Savola, Kalahari King. We were spoiled with those, and we thought that was normal to come across those horses, and it's only since you start training yourself that you realise like those horses were so well bought, France, Ireland, and we did really just take them for granted, because it's very, very difficult to get your hands on them now, especially when you're competing with those owners that can go and throw £300,000 or £400,000 at a jumps horse, and we're trying to buy them budget and still compete at the very same level. But like I say, I think we are on the verge of something here, and there's been some massive investment in here. For a northern facility, I think this place is immense. The gallop cost an absolute fortune. We've put in the very best stuff. You'll see down the yard when you're walking around. The place is immaculate. We use the best shavings, the best feed, the best staff. You watch them ride out. Half of them have jockeys' licenses, and some of them have been here since the very start. And then we've just added good people to the team. I know before you were saying, I don't have an assistant trainer, I don't have race planners, I don't have a head lad as such, but we've got a barn manager in each barn who they report to me. They're highly experienced. I don't have a right-hand person, but I've got many right and left-hand people, and they're my sort of eyes and ears, and getting the reports back from the riders that are on the gallop. I'm here every day. I'm 100% committed. They're 100% committed to the cause, and our costs are the same as Newmarket. I'm currently buying this place. I've always rented. I'm currently buying. We're going to have a massive mortgage. My staff get paid the same amount as the top yards in Newmarket. We pay top whack wages up here. The feed costs the same, the haylage costs the same. You know, the facilities, this is my own gallop. I have to pay to get it fixed. I have to pay to get it drained and topped up and everything else. You know, how can we train for half, you know, our training fees? I've compared them, nearly half of what some people are paying down there. And you are getting that, you know, sort of smaller yard mentality, but on a bigger scale. That's how I put it. You know, our barn managers, they all look after their own little teams, and it's very, very much one-on-one. They're not a number here. They're a horse. You'll see them go around. It fries my head. They give them all pet names. So, you know, I'm remembering the dam, the sire, their actual racing name, and then the girls in the yard, it was, oh, here's Dennis, and here's Paul, and here's, you know, like they're treated like pets down there. And it's a one-on-one thing, a lot different to, I think, a numerical sort of structure as it can be in some places.
And finally, you say you live, you breathe, you sleep this game. It's quite clear that you do. Do you ever get any time off or any downtime?
Not really. Not really. All I've known is work. Work's never felt like work though. It's something, I get up every morning and my alarm goes off at 4:15, and I'm up and gone. And every day here is dramatically different. You know, I'm so lucky that I'm getting to do this. People say, oh, do you want a holiday from it? And I don't switch off. I think you can't take your eye off the ball for 1 minute in this job. You know, people say you need to have a good work-life balance. I like to give everyone else that, but for me, you know, my work-life balance is work and that's it. And I get a lot from it. I don't want to switch off from it. If anything, I'm probably going to ramp it up. I'm probably going to become more obsessive and more driven. And when I had 10 horses, the thought of having 20 was scary. When I got 20 horses, I said, oh, I'll never have more than 30. And when I got 30, I wanted 50, and then you get 50 and you want 70, then you want 90. And then, you know, you every stable down here should be filled with a horse that's in work running. You know, if a horse picks up a little injury or whatever, we're lucky, we've got like Brian Hughes, he's got a really good pre-training yard, Richie McGrath's, you know, send those horses there and fill these boxes with horses that are doing their job, and you know, have that good support team around you, which we're building. You know, it's becoming like an exciting wheel, and it's been a hell of a journey as well. I have the timeline across the barn. I don't know if you saw it down at the bottom yard, but it's a timeline from when we started training, and every £250,000 in prize money, there's a gold sticker, and the gold stickers went from that, and now they're getting like that, you know, because we're obviously improving the quality, but the timelines reach the end of the barn, but we've got the whole other side of the barn now to fill. But yeah, it's a fun old job most of the time.
At the other end of the spectrum, the husband and wife team of Anne and Ian Hamilton have years of experience in the national hunt sphere.
I suppose we've been very lucky. You know, Anne would say, if she's gone shopping or something, she says, will you feed the horses for us, right? Feed the dog and the cat. And if you've got any spare moment, get yourself a tin of beans or something.
Put yourself last in that list.
That's right.
Yeah.
She put us last.
Yeah.
The horses are the most important thing here.
And you've always had a small string of horses, never more than sort of 7, is that right?
No, 6 or 7. Yeah, we'll find that it's far easier for both of us because, you know, we've got a farm to run as well.
And it's always been quality really over quantity, hasn't it, with you?
Well, I suppose, yeah. But we haven't given any daft prices for horses. Probably this last point that we bought is the most expensive horse we've had. We've never bought a horse out of the farm for 20 years. We buy it out of the prize money that the other ones have won, which we're quite fortunate, I suppose, because we haven't got any training fees to pay for, have we?
I'm a farmer's daughter, and I love the farm, and we both enjoy the horses, which, you know, we've had lots of fun, and it gets us away for a day out. Obviously we've both ridden in pointer points, and we understand, you know, if a jockey comes in to explain about the race, we understand if things have gone wrong or all right.
You got into the training game alongside Anne. Obviously Anne is the licensee and your silks carried by all the horses.
Yeah.
And Divots Hill, would that be one of your biggest wins, do you think, early on?
Yeah, he would be, yes. And we bred him. We had his mother, and she won quite a few races for my mother. Divot Hill was the last foal out of her. The first foal was a scallywag that was sold, and Easterby's had it. And until not long ago, he still had the 2-mile track record at Ascot. Whether he still has or not, I know, but you know, he was a good horse. And Divot Hill, we had a lot of fun with him.
How did you come about getting hold of both Tommy's Oscar and Pay the Piper?
Well, it was through Howard Johnson, really. He said he'll have a decent pointer or two that you cannot sell because you're not going to get the big money. He said, give him a ring. So I gave him a ring, and he sent us 2 video recordings of the 2 of them. And I said, we'll have them both. And they cost a fortune as 3-year-olds, but they didn't quite make it as a 4-year-old. You know, they buy them and break them and get them to win a point and sell them to the top trainers over here for big money. Well, these 2 didn't win as 4-year-olds. Took them till the later of the 5-year-olds. Well, they missed the boat for the money. So we didn't give very much for those 2.
He's been amazing, Tommy. Loads of fun, and you know, he's had a quiet season this season so far, but I'm hoping that we'll turn the corner, and it would be nice to go back up to Ayr at the end of April for the race he won at the end of last season.
The day at Ayr, you know, they're all there. Willie Mullins, Nicky Henderson, Skeletons, the whole lot of them from the Southern Islands, and we beat a lot of them, which it was fantastic, it really was. And mind, they all came and said, well done.
And obviously you have a working farm, and it's quite a big farm too. Was it ever in your mind, was there ever temptation to expand, or were you always happy with the small yard that you've got?
Yeah. I mean, we've had lots of opportunities to train for other people. Not so much now because we're getting older, but when we were younger, there was people on the, oh, you'll have to train a one for us, but we just had a permit, you see. Anne would say, well, I've got one owner and he's a twisty bugger, so I'm not having any more. That was me. But yeah, we've had stacks of opportunities to train, but it's great. You answer to yourself, don't you?
Yeah, you answer to yourself and you answer to Anne as well, of course.
Exactly,
You work together as a team.
We do, yeah. We're both out there 6 o'clock every morning, just after 6. And I won't say we're out there all the time, but it's 9 o'clock before we're finished at night, you know. Most trainers couldn't do that, you know, because they've got too many horses. You know, they've got to shut the door at like 5 o'clock.
A lot has been made over the last few years about your magnificent strike rate as a trainer. You've done amazing things really with your small pool of horses in terms of success rate. Does it give you a great amount of pride and satisfaction?
Oh, it definitely does, because it's probably the only achievement in my life that I've done. But the biggest percentages were when the horses were young, 5 and 6, and they were all, you know, winning their novice races and coming through. So now that they've been through that, and some of them, like Tommy, has a high handicap mark, it's not easy now.
Racing is in the blood in the Northeast, and nobody embodies that better than Victor Thompson. With over 50 years in the game, he now aims his team at local point-to-points, while still riding out every morning at the age of 82.
I love it. Love it. When I had my leg, when they took the lump with my leg last week, I was so annoyed. I was told I hadn't got to ride for a fortnight, but I had to give in to my will and ride after 5 or 6 days. I just taped myself up.
So just talk us through what happened with your leg.
Well, I had some cancer in the back of my leg, and when I was in the Nuffield having something done, and they said, oh, right, that's got to come out, we're going to do it in half an hour, so just sitting there and wait. And then they just whopped it out. And I said, when can I start and ride? Oh, 10 days. I thought, oh, fortnight. I said, I want to ride the day when I go on, yeah. She said, no, because once it gets knitted together, you'll be all right, just tape it all up. And then, so that's what we did, and come away, and then I started to ride out again, and it was getting red a bit. So another pal of mine, we put on one little page, and they were ringing us, get to the doctors, get that seen to.
Yeah, and you're still patching yourself up.
Still patching myself up. Well, I love riding horses, you know, it's really good. But I couldn't ride 11 unless Gina was tacking them for us. Because it's hard work, tacking, rugging, walker and riding. But what I do is a piece of cake. Because I got on my first one, I come in, the second one's there. Well, it's easy, I just sit on my horse. She's got to do all the work.
My role has changed now, because now I do a lot of the groundwork. I found myself working on the ground because I had a bump round about 18 months ago, and I got stopped from riding out. So now him and I just work together. I'll do anything to ride again. But I think it's right, that decision, that maybe I don't anymore, and I really don't know whether I will again.
But he's quite protective of your health and trying to make sure you're okay before it happens.
Yeah.
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 As are you over his health, because I know that you've had to deal with a few things, including that compound fracture.
Yes. When Victor came into the stables that day, and he'd managed to get off the horse, I've got no idea how he did manage, but he managed to get off onto his mountain block that he uses, and I knew he was in trouble. And it was as we'd gone outside, and he said, I have broke my leg, and I thought, yeah, you've definitely got an injury, because I know that he isn't soft. And when him and we got to the warm room, we removed the boot, and I'd looked at Victor and I said, oh, you've definitely broken the leg. And he'd asked me, what's that on my leg? And I said, oh, by the way, that's 2 bones that's sticking out of your leg.
And how long did it take you to ride out again after that?
I was riding in 7 weeks.
7 weeks?
Well, I couldn't get my horse. Well, I'd bought a few new ones, and I was looking forward to an exciting season, because I'd never bought any dearer ones before. I'd only bought cheapies, you know, $3,000 and things, $4,000. And I'd bought a few dearer ones, and I was really, really looking forward to them. Like, I mean, they were something else. Like, you know, probably no good, but I loved them. And I thought, oh, I'm in the game here again. And after I kept thinking, when can I ride? And I had to go to Asherton every day for the first 2 weeks, because they were frightened I got something in my cut, because it was serious. Like, they said, man, you lose your leg. I said, as soon as they get me patch off my leg, I said, oh, right, I'll bandage myself up. Actually, that thing I'm putting on is the one I wore on that one. I made that, you see, with duct tape. And so, but I couldn't, you know, when I climbed up that stool, well, I couldn't get on there because I couldn't bear any weight on this foot, or I couldn't bear any weight on that foot. So we had little stools, so I got on that stool and I went up and I held the horse. And then I had to get on, you see, and got myself on. So we went to the beach and I went away and I cantered the beat to the Lang Nanny. Oh, the tears were running down my cheeks. I had somebody says to me, what's your pain rate? I says, 20 out of 10. I says, mate, it's a cup of tea, I need some tea. What do you think then? I said, well, I'll tell you what I think. I said, you need to get another horse stacked up quick as you can before I change my mind. And I did 5 that morning, and then I went on to 10 after that.
I find it amazing because you clearly have relentless energy. That even though you've had these injuries and you had the cancer in your leg as well, you never really thought to yourself, I had enough.
No. I missed riding out the 3 or 4 days I couldn't ride, man. I thought, this is no good to me. What I find hard is I would like to find a good rider. All I need is one rider. We've got to be good. You see, can ride anything. When I bring the new horses in, because I like buying new horses, that instead of me being the first one on the back, they're the first one on the back. But it's always me. So if they are loopy-loo, it's me that's got to sit and ride them. And so I'd rather they fell off as me. Which they should be able to, and I keep telling the ones that come, if you cannot ride as good as me, you want to pack the game in. Like, you've got to ride horses right. If you didn't ride them the right way, they'll never win out. The trouble is, see, people get on, you tell them what you want, and when they get on, they say, bye-bye, I'm riding this, not you. You know, You know, I'm riding this, I know more than he does. And obviously, when I tell them some of them, I think they think I'm stupid because I'm an older guy. Think, what's he now? He doesn't know. But when you've had Frankham and you've had all the top jockeys, the lad Thornton, you know, Fitzgerald, when you I'll tell them about me, they're all road winners for me. Do you know what I mean? Granty, you know, all the big ones rode for me. And while loads of winners with them all, like. And then you think of these lot, think you're stupid, do you know what I mean? And you're not as stupid as they're the ones that are stupid because they didn't want to listen. But I do bring a lot of young amateurs on and they get it to be good young professionals and move on. But I get a bit of fun with that and all, you see, because I feel I've helped somebody else in the game.
What makes you love riding out still so much, do you think?
Well, just the thrill, the horses. I like the horses. The ones, most of them like me. And I've got a bit burned with most of the ones I've had a while. And we'll just try and find out a little bit about them and buy them with a little bit of form if I can. The secret we've got is really is to improve them. They've got to have ability and they've got to be getting tired, like if where they are. Not because they're harming them, they just need a change. They come here, if they're in big yards somewhere, they just gallop the gallop every day, they're seen out, they come here, their eyes pop with the heat. But when they first come in the box, they run to the back of the boxes and we pet them, give them tidbits, and after a week, they're looking out the door, what am I going to get? And then they go on the walker with the pigeons and hens and ducks, and then the pheasants, the ducks fly up in the river, when you get up the river, and the deer, they drive you crackers, and then my sheep, I've got to keep shooting at them to get out the road, because they'll stay, some of them are like daredevils, they're waiting, they look at you waiting, I'm not moving, like this morning, it wouldn't move. I had to move this morning. Two of them looked at me and they just would not move. I thought, I'm going to ruin you because you're going to slip at the last minute.
I could hear you shouting at them.
I give up before them. I thought, no, they're braver than me. Because I knew they would have waited till I got there and they'd be under my legs.
And you weren't so focused on the point-to-point scene earlier in your training career, were you?
No, I wasn't. No,
it was more the rules.
I'd been to a couple of point-to-points, but I loved racing. And like, when I first started, a young lad called Colin Tinkler, he rode for his mother. He'd won the Newmarket Town Plate, and I got my eye on him because I always needed an amateur. And I got in touch with them and met them and said, oh, he'll ride for you. And then Colin Senior started to train a little bit, and he had something Circle Club or something for his racehorses. Colin rode for me, then he rode win at Cheltenham for us, and that was really good. And then we just started winning all the time after that.
And you had some good success, didn't you, in the
early days, I was the cellar king for a long time. I won all the cellars. I never had many good owners, but I had 2 or 3 really nice ones who I was their friend rather than their friend. Because if they've got their own friend, they only listen to their friend, not you. And then Dennis Cornish was one of them. He had a few with me, but he was a canny gambler. Like I wasn't afraid. I could get them ready for him. But the funny thing with Dennis was Treble Clear was one of his, so I could win every year market race with that. And but if a horse got beat, you could give him 2 or 3 gambles. But I didn't. To get a horse for a gamble, you know, I just trained them, got them fit. They were forced time out knee stoppies, or they were out to win, like. Because I didn't gamble, you see, so I didn't take very well. Anything getting stopped, everything's got to run. Like the lads at Rafe Mail said, listen, this is not quite fit. Get it in the middle, give it a nice ride. If you can win, win. If you can place. Forget about out else. I just want you in the frame. But Devon, if he's not going anywhere, you ease up on him. Don't you be hard on him, because there's another day coming. And I didn't want you sickening him and putting up his food. And understand me. And but Colin, when Dennis was on, if they got beat, you know, if one got beat, a wagon would come in. Oh, here's Dennis's horse away. Half a dozen were gone. And then he did it 3 times, but when they went to the yards where he took them, they never did. Now, he'd bring us, oh, Victor, can I bring the horse back? Can I bring the horses? I bring them, well, they knew me and I knew them inside. Actually, I think they thought they were all, they'd love coming back. And then they'd win straight away, because they were canny little tools, but I knew them inside out.
How long do you think you might want to go on for? As long as you can?
Well, I reckon if I'm still here in 100 years' time, I think racing might have changed. But we hope we're still riding for a long, long time yet. The last thing I want is stop riding horses down.